So let's get into it. Church hurt. The term was actually coined by a pastor, Emmett Price. He coined the term church hurt, and it refers to the pain sometimes inflicted by religious institutions, a pain that distances sufferers from their communities and from God. This can be pain from a pastor, a leader, or just a regular church member. Or it could even be a member of your family who maybe you feel is judgmental or has held you to a higher standard that maybe they're not quite living at, or a standard that seems unjust or unfair. And this could be really the definition and the defining moment of church hurt. And why does it hurt so much? And I think maybe it has to do, and I'm just speaking for myself, but maybe it has to do with we see people in the church and we expect maybe greater things from them, or we would never expect them to be a follower of Christ, someone pursuing love and acting maybe out of character, especially not acting the way that Christ would. And so sometimes there's moments where these things happen and this hurt does occur that tends to leave us wounded, broken, and very hurt. And just as Pastor Emmett Price coined it again, it distances sufferers from their communities and from God. So in an article from the Washington Post, we read about someone who went through church hurt. And this is from Terrell Hunt, and he says this: "For 2 years, Terrell Hunt was a Christian without a church. At the church in the Washington area where he had grown up, Hunt worried that the leaders lectured about good behavior but didn't act as they preached. He heard members talking badly about one another. One day, a member preaching about toxic habits addressed his sermon to one young woman, causing her to burst in tears and embarrassment. Hunt became convinced this church just wasn't for him. Every day he prayed on his own. He read the Bible. It was a lonely faith. It was really, really hard. It made me feel like if this place isn't for me, is any place really for me? Am I ever going to feel comfortable again?" said Hunt, 27. "I just felt a really deep sense of hurt." I'm almost wondering, reading this, how many people have gone through this pain, gone through this type of hurt, where again they've seen these leaders or these members of the church, here it says, acting, lecturing about good behavior, but didn't act as they preached, where it's holding people to this level, yet never hitting the bar themselves, which could easily come off as hypocritical. It could easily come off as, they're holding me to this standard and judging me for it, yet the standards for them is below the bar that they're wanting me to obtain. And I'm wondering too, how many millennials has this really affected? How many millennials did this deter someone and cause someone to be separated, not only from God, but from the church as well? In a dissertation by Raquel Anderson published by NSU Works, we see this. This statistic, it's really sad. Here's what it says. It says, every year, about 2.7 million church members drop from church membership. One of the main reasons is attributed to church members leaving as hurt and wounded. Whoa, 2.7 million every year? I'm wondering how cyclical it is in the sense of, new people come in and the old kind of go, and it's this constant thing, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, but we are all flesh and blood. We are all humans. We are all figuring life out. We tend to not always act in love. We tend to do what we selfishly want. We tend to hurt people, unfortunately. These are things that happen in the world, and unfortunately it happens in church. And 2.7 million is a lot each and every year, and it's attributed to hurt and wounds. And I read all these statistics and I read all of these stories, and I myself have gone through this type of hurt and this type of pain. And I think to myself, what would benefit or what would help? What would allow people to find healing from these moments? And what would help the body of Christ to, again, maybe we can't necessarily fix people hurting, but maybe we can minister some type of healing to the wounded. And kind of I think of the Good Samaritan where he poured the oil and the wine on the wounds, in order for there to be healing. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of oil or what kind of word of encouragement could maybe heal some brokenness and some wounded hearts, for sure.